Today I want to talk about a model called Marble by WorldLabs. Marble is still in beta, but it allows us to create 3D environments from a single image. Today I want to show you a workflow where I tested image to 3D, 3D to image, and then image to video. It sounds messy, it kinda is, but I do believe this is the future of AI video generation. So let's go into the example that I'm about to show you, and after that I'll tell you what was the workflows, the steps, the tools I used, what I learned, and what I would do differently.
Hey, Tasha, you home? Hey, so that experiment I mentioned? Well, it kind of worked. So this right here is a 3D environmental test. I wanted to see how far I could push a scene from one space to another while keeping it consistent. I used a tool called WorldLabs to build the space, then used the screenshots on Seedream, and then I added us. Follow me, let me show you. And here we are, same space, see? Doesn't look like much, but I believe this type of environmental control will be the future of AI video. Okay, let's make it at least a bit flashy.
First, I started on Marble WorldLabs, as I mentioned, and it's very simple to use. First, you're going to come here where it says create, click on settings, make sure this is enabled, advanced prompting, and then you are going to drop your image here. For example, something like this. You can pick your aspect ratio, I'll stick with 16:9. Once that's done, you can hit generate. And what it does is that it's going to generate this environment for you, and then you can essentially move around within your environment. I am recording right now, and this laptop is not the best to record and see 3D environments, but you get the point. I would recommend for you to test out bases that are indoor and that don't have as much detail to start with. For example, you can see here how we have noticeable artifacts on this. So what I did was literally just take a screenshot of this space, this camera angle, and saved it. With that screenshot, I came into FreePic and used Seedream 4K. My theory was if I could reference the same image inside of Seedream, I would essentially get an upscale with added details, and it kind of worked. So I did that with different angles. As you can see here, I started, and my idea was to do a panning rotation, then go into a room, come back, and then finally come back to the same place where we started. So I first created this image, then the end point of the panning to the left, and then I came back and added my characters. The way I did that was by referencing contact sheets that I've previously created of AI humans. Now I needed to create the voiceover for the characters. For this, I use Google AI Studio just because it's free, and Gemini TTS, which is short for text to speech, is very good because it has some capabilities of emotional context, and it allows you to add tags to create something like a chuckle. So for example, this right here, you create a system prompt that tells the model how your character should sound. You can then choose from several voices they have available. You can choose between 1 or 2 speakers, and then you can place the dialogue along with a tag. In this case, I added a chuckle, and it sounds like this.
That experiment I mentioned, well, it kind of worked.
So you can see how very easily here you can change the mood and the tone. So for example, speak like a person that is scared. And this is very fast as well.
That experiment I mentioned, well, it kind of worked.
So this is the way I created the voice, and now we needed to lip sync the voice with the video. For this use case, I wanted to do lip sync with the clips that I generated. So what I am doing here is I am uploading the clip of the person speaking along with the voiceover. So as you can see, this is a 19-second clip, which none of the models will generate. Well, VO 3.1 now does something like that, but I did this test for VO 3.1 released. And the way I did that was by identifying the parts of the video that I wanted my character to be speaking and exporting that. So as you can see here, I have 3 clips and I've said starting and end point and exporting all of this. So this is the part where I knew I wanted him to be explaining and where I needed to lip sync the audio. And this was the result.
So this right here is a 3D environmental test. I wanted to see how far I could push a scene from one space.
All right, and then after that, I just grabbed all of the shots, put them together, and that's it. No, I'm lying. Actually, I had to do additional work, and I'll show you why. It's because it creates a very evident jump between cuts. So there is a shift in the exposure and the contrast levels, and when you try to place that with a new clip, the jump is very evident. So it looks like this. So what I had to do was to jump into Premiere Pro and manually try to match those jumps with gradual adjustment layers to make those less noticeable, along with cutting some of those 2 seconds at the beginning and at the end of each video. A colleague at work told me this was the path to madness, and I couldn't agree more. I would definitely not do this again, at least until Seedance does any new updates on their model. I would probably stick to Kling 2.1 for first last frame video generations that involve multiple clips to create a one-shot sequence like this one. So what tools did I use for this experiment? First of all, I used Marble, which is the new beta tool from WorldLabs. I use FreePic to do all of my image and video generations, and I recommend FreePic over any other suite because they offer unlimited image generations, which is something that gives you peace of mind, allows you to experiment, and save some money if you are doing a lot of image generations like I am. If you are interested in a 20% discount on their annual subscription, check out the link in the description. Then I use AI Google Studio, specifically Gemini text-to-speech model, which is free and very, very good to create the voiceover. For lip sync, I used Syncs 2 Pro model, which is one of the leading video to lip sync models out there. And this is a very good segue into my learnings and what I would do differently if I were to do this test again. Is Marble a production ready tool? Probably not, but it's worth keep an eye on it. Like I mentioned, I do believe 3D models that incorporate into video workflows will be the future and will allow for more precise camera controls inside consistent 3D environments. For now, I think this is just an experiment. I think it's worth tested out, but there are a lot of limitations and a lot of considerations, especially if you're doing work with real clients. And this is one of the most important learnings that I have from this experiment, and that is that although Seedance is an amazing video model, I would not use it if you are planning on creating a one-shot sequence like this one because of what I already showed in those exposure. If you look closely on the last scene where they are face to face in the living room talking, the lip sync didn't quite get their mouth and they're just not moving. So that was the limitation of Syncs 2 Pro model. I am very curious to recreate something like this inside of VO 3.1 and see if I can actually get them to move their mouths even though they're far away. And my next experiment will be to just use VO 3.1 and then do a voice replacement. I already did this for this video, so let me show you real quick.
Desde Buenos Aires, Argentina, nos visita Manuel Palenque, artista visual y creative technologist.
So this was a generation done with VO 3.1. However, if you want to use a custom audio, which you will almost always want to do when you're doing client work, you'll need to then replace that voice. So this was the voiceover that I already had.
Desde Buenos Aires, Argentina, nos visita Manuel Palenque, artista visual y creative technologist. Ha trabajado en proyectos.
And this was the final generation that I got by using VO3 just for the lip sync, but replacing the voiceover.
Desde Buenos Aires, Argentina, nos visita Manuel Palenque, artista visual y creative technologist.
So considering that VO 3.1 is very good at doing lip sync, and fact that it now allows to extend a single clip from 8 seconds up to, I believe, 21 or 25 seconds, well, that might make it best video to lip sync model, at least for now. I will do additional tests on this later on. That's it for this video. I hope you got some useful insights and hopefully some learnings to not repeat the same mistakes that I did, and you save some credits along the way. Let me know in the comments if you want to see anything specifically so I can address that on future videos. Thank you for watching. My name is Christian. I'll see you in the next video.